Hello everybody, welcome to the Sound Test Room. Today we are taking a look at Grooveryder GR-16, which is marvellous, from Jim Pavlov, Dmitrij Pavlov, who's in Ukraine at the moment, so let's send our best wishes to Jim. And let's take a look at Grooveryder. Okay, so 16 tracks. This is I made yesterday, and just one pattern, just by muting and unmuting, you can create this like complete performance type thing. So I'm going to basically take you through this app has superpowers, and I kid you not. So you can do a lot of very, very cool stuff with Grooveryder, and we're going to take a look at how to get you going on creating something like that. So you notice that even when it's all playing, it's all continually evolving and changing. It doesn't always trigger at the same time. We have all sorts of step conditions we can apply to each and every note inside GR-16. Right, okay, so at the moment we are on this, so I'm going to go to a new pattern. So where it says here UR5, that's mine, I'm just going to tap on this and choose UR6, which is an init patch, and I'm on mute mode here. So on trigger, on an init patch, will give you this, which is just a 4 on the floor kick drum. And if we stop this here and we go where it says trigger, we can select our parts either by tapping on them, and across the top are a bunch of oscillators. Now you can have oscillators in the drum part as well, but Jim's kind of set you up with a basic kit to get you going. Of course, everything is completely customizable from this point. So all the oscillators are free, all the drums are up to you to change. So if you want to change a particular drum, let's start with the very basic stuff. Select the sound you want to edit. And I think what I'll do is, this might be a little bit bright, so I'll go into colors here and choose Mars, which is a little bit more kind of probably better on your eyes. So kick here, right. Let's change the kick sound. I'll show you how to change the kick. So to change any sound in Grooveryder, you just hit this where it says oscillator. You hit the little button that says wave. Now, this section here, the wave type, the oscillator, the filter, the modulator, the effects, the envelope, this section here, all of this section here is different. You can't see it, but it's different for every single instrument. So for instance, on this kick, if I decide to decimate this kick, if I go to this next one here, you'll see there'll be no decimation on it. And depending on what you have selected, your controls will change. So Let's change that kick, shall we? So we'll go with wave, and you'll see it's brought us up on the kick category, but we can choose any category we want. We can also import our own samples. In fact, we can import complete folders of samples if we want to. So let's play it and change the kick. We'll stick with that one. So we'll stick with this kick here, and you'll hear that it's triggering on every 4. So if we go to where it says sequence here, you can see this, and we can adjust the triggers just by putting them in like this, or we can hit record and we can actually go back to where it says trigger and play them in. And we could go back to sequence now and then kind of just take them out manually if we wanted to. So that's how you input notes on your sequencer. So that 4 on the floor. So it's going to be very, very simple to build a little drum pattern. So we go back to trigger. And as long as we're on part, so let's see where wave is flashing, we can change the sound. But if it's not flashing, you can see you're on part 10. This is important to keep an idea of what's going on. It will always tell you what part you're on at the bottom of this screen. So let's go and choose under snare, and also this, actually let's save this pattern, because the idea with GrooveRide is save continuously, save all the time, save lots and lots and lots. So we'll go to this here, and where it says pattern, right, that will save that pattern. And if we go back now, exit, you'll see there's a little asterisk by it there. We'll just put pattern save, but we need to change the name. So let's enter. Let's go to pattern. So entering the menu will take you to your part options, okay, your pattern options. So you'll see where it says name. We're going to tap on this, tap on it again, and we're going to change the name to we'll just call it video demo, and we'll go OK. And now we exit, we see we've got video demo. I'll press save again. So video demo is now the name of this pattern, and it will remember, you know, everything that you now do, but you must remember to keep pressing save. So let's go and change that snare, shall we? So I'm going to have the 808 snare because it's nice, and I could go to sequence now and put it in on your kind of normal 5 and 13. Let's go to trigger and choose hi-hat. And let's go to sequence, let's put in some. Let's put in some hi-hats. Don't particularly like the hi-hat, so I'm already on wave, so. The JD closed is nice. If we hit wave again, we get back out. Now, at this point, you can choose to decimate it, boost it, or change its pitch. We can also start to customize our display now as well. So let's go back to where it says trigger and hi-hat here. So we make sure we're selected on hi-hat. I'm going to enter the menu here, and where it says, right, this is for pattern. Let's go to part. You'll see the part is 16 steps long. If we go all the way down to the bottom of the part there, you'll see where it says label. Now it's already labeled hi-hat, so we'll just call this, so you can see, I'll call it closed HH and go OK. And now this is changed to closed H because it'll only remember 8 characters. And we can change the color as well. So let's change this color to blue. You won't really see it, but you got red, blues, violets, greens. We'll leave it on violet. And we could go to the kick now. I'll leave a label on kick because it's a kick, but I could then change the color to say yellow. So you can customize the pad colors as well, which is handy for keeping track of what you're actually doing, which is good. So anyway, and if we exit this now, you'll see a little asterisk by the side of where it says video demo. So you press save lots and lots. Okay, so let's look at this hi-hat here. Make sure we're selected on hi-hat. We can apply a filter to the hi-hat. You won't hear anything because you have to apply the filter. So if we press filter type, we can choose from low pass, soft clip, low pass 4-pole, and then the same for band pass, high pass. We have a peak filtering and a notch filter as well. So let's put a low pass 4-pole onto the hi-hat. Like I said, this is independent of every single instrument. Look, this will go off if I go to snare now. So you can have a different filter on all 16 instruments. So now we've got this low pass soft clip on the hi-hat. Now we can now there are lots of ways to add automation in GR-16. For instance, we can actually literally just record the automation in, but first of all, you see it's only got 1 bar, this pattern. So you can have up to 8 bars. So I'm going to increase this pattern to 2 bars, okay? Otherwise it'll be too long. So all we need to do is exit here, go back in again, and it says pattern, because we're working on the entire pattern. You see it says length 1 bar, tempo is 120 BPM, rhythm bass is 16. That's your resolution. Your swing is 0, master gain. Don't worry about these chain 2 things. Scale, excuse me, scale. Okay, we'll leave it in scale C, but we will change the scale of the entire pattern, the entire project sort of thing. We'll change that to maybe we'll change it to a harmonic minor. We'll leave it in C. Chord set, I'll show you what that is in a sec. You can actually also play in your instruments via your MIDI keyboard. I'll show you that in a sec as well. However, first of all, we've got 1 bar. We want to change this to 2 bars. So you'll go up to 8 bars, but I'm going to just stick with 2. And what it does is I can change this anytime and it will just copy the information over to the other bars. So I don't have to input all the data from bar 1 again into bar 2. It's just remembered it, and what you can see the count here. Okay, so staying on this, we can apply modulation. Now, like I said, we can record automation in, so I could just literally just hit record and it would record that in. And we can also apply different types of modulation. And don't forget, the power of this thing is that this is for every single one of these pads. You can do this. You have total, complete control over every single pad, instrument in here, where this is concerned, including all the automation, the sounds, the filters, the amp envelope, the effects. So it's vast, In fact, the temptation is to go bonkers, but okay, so modulation, we'll play it right so we can hear it, but we'll solo out the hi-hats. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can go to our mixer and just hit solo on the hi-hats, or as a performance point of view, you go to mute and we can mute the snare and the kick. Okay, so let's go back to trigger. This time, let's press edit, and you can see this is at the moment depending on step 1. And if we scroll over to bar 2, you'll see it's exactly the same, but we can put extra ones in. However, what's great about this, right? let's bar 1. There's all the different. You can edit the step length. Not going to make a great deal of difference on a hi-hat. You can edit the velocity. So if we edit the velocity of, say, this first one, let's take it right down. You do this with the data wheel. See, it's gone very quiet there now. So if we edit the velocities of some of these, and I'm just working on bar 1. I'll go to bar 2. We'll just change up some of the velocities. Dean Daughters did an absolutely brilliant video on doing stuff like this for drums with GR-16, but it was the older version. This is a newer version now. It's got like song mode and stuff. Anyway, so you've altered the velocities. We also have time shift. This is good for boom bap if you want to shift any particular note either backwards or forwards. So let's take this one for instance. We can shift it and you'll watch it move, see? So we can shift anytime completely forward or backwards or anywhere in between. So slightly off grid. This one is nice. This is stroke. This is like ratcheting. So let's put 3 ratchets on this one again. Turn the actual velocity up for the one with the ratchet on. And then this one is the step condition. This decides the probability. Now this is where it gets really, really cool, because in that last session I had, the one I started with, every single pad, every single sound had a different probability setting. Okay, so, right. For instance, choose this one and it'll constantly fire. But if we lower the probability now, and if you want to get anything other than in degrees of 10, hold shift and you can move down in any increment you like, basically. So I'll quickly adjust the probabilities of some of these, and I'll show you another very cool trick as well that Dean showed us with this. So we'll go back to pattern 1 and we'll just adjust some probabilities for this. Oh, I've moved them up, so that's okay. You can move, look at this, if you're on the note, you can move it around, so that's pretty cool. So we can leave it like that. Right, so we've adjusted the probabilities. Maybe we could put a ratchet on a couple more of these. So exit this. The modulator type, and this is where what Dean showed us in his video is absolutely brilliant. You can use any modulation type, but if we push the mod depth up of this and the speed, we can listen to what it does. Some of the most, quite like that one actually. But the pitch one was good because what Dean did was he selected pitch, sample and hold, which changes the pitch each time randomly. So I quite like that one. So I'm going to go with saw up LFO to BPM, but not too much of it because it'll sound silly. Let's exit this now, and I'm going to press right to save the pattern. Okay, so that's your modulator. Glide is literally glide, like on a note. So effects, right? So the multi-effects are these will default to a, yes, Dean Daughters, yeah. You can select different multi-effects if you tap it again. I quite like the tape delay, but you could have reverb. And you can record the multi-effects control as well. I'm going to stick on tape delay. But it's nice to come in every now and then. And you can take the multi-effect off any pattern you don't want. So if we go to say like trigger now, mute and switch this on. We don't want a multi effect on the kick. What we want to do is see if we're selecting different. See, it's all started to change now. Go to kick, switch off multi effects. Okay, go to snare and switch off multi effects. So now the multi effects is only going to affect the hi-hat. Okay, so that's kind of a way, and we've altered this. So what can we do now? Let's put on an effect that's just related to the snare. So let's choose the snare. Let's go to effect and type, and you can have all these different effects. Now you have to make sure you switch multi-effect on, of course. That's punch. But we could have low EQ. I sometimes put low EQ on kick drums and stuff like that. So let's go with maybe what would be good for snare? Maybe a side chainer. Which will side chain off the kick. Or maybe so you can hear it, pitch shifter. So, like I was saying, what we could do now is we could record some automation in directly. So, anytime you're on a menu like this, just hit exit to get back to the normal one. Don't forget, if you see a little asterisk there, just hit right pattern. Otherwise, you'll lose your data if you close it and come back to it. So, like, listen. Hear that on the snare? Let's have it. Let's do automation on it. So just hit record. Keep an eye on your bars if you want to. So we can go. And now we've automated that effect, and we can, if we want to turn the level up here, we can pan it, which we can also automate. In fact, if we select the hat, we could have it go. I'll just record that in A. So now we've got some stereo hats going on as well, and this is just working with a couple of drums so far, you know. So oops, excuse me. Okay. Now automation, we can edit all our automation. If we go to edit here, let's go, what are we on? Let me just check. Yeah, we're on our hi-hats, which we've just put this pan onto, right? So let's go to edit. You can see the hi-hats here, and it's referred to pattern. Bar 1, we can go to bar 2 and see. If we tap this now, we can see the automation, and you can literally edit the automation. You select. Right, I can't remember how you do it now, but you can actually literally you can go in and just re-edit the automation for each and every step. So it's really very cool, very cool indeed. Yeah. But you can go in and see it, and you can edit it. I can't remember if I did a really good video on showing you how to edit the automation, but it's not something I do very often. I kind of just automate it by hand and let it do its thing, you know. Anyway, so there's good. We've got some movement going on. Ball. Let's exit this and look at our trigger. Let's listen. So I'll choose this first oscillator, and I can, if I go into keys here. Now remember we chose our scale. I can play it with the keyboard, and I can record it in with the keyboard as well. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I can record it in, but if I hit poly, I could play chords in as well. So let's just play a couple of chords. Let's play a couple of chords in for this first one here, and we'll leave it on that sound, and then we'll just change that sound up, make a cool synth sound from it. Let's go to our mixer because it was a little bit loud. Oh, is it this one? So it's a super basic sawtooth. I'll press, if I press record and play, it will give us a 2-bar counting as well. So just watch. So I've recorded that in now, right? Let's turn the entire thing down so you can hear what I'm actually saying as well. But let's start to change that sound. So we'll go to trigger. It's oscillator 1. And thanks, Vortex. Thank you. It's oscillator 1. We can go in and enter and change the name for the part. Let's just call this AM Stab, because it was an A minor I played. Let's change the colour just for fun, shall we, to a nice yellow colour. And let's make a synth sound from this. So this sound, if we open up our wave, let me exit. If we open up our wave now, we know this is just a basic sawtooth, right? If we open up our wave here, and it actually says saw. These are your oscillators: saw, pulse, tri, sine, and FM, super saw. However, you also have all these other basic synth saw types as well, and there are loads of them. I mean, absolutely, look at them, loads. I'm going to, go back. You can choose any sound from any preset by doing this, searching through the presets. You can choose, right, so this is our, but we could choose a, right, hang on a minute. I'm playing other what it is. So I'll go back to keys mode. So, but I'm going to stick with just for now. Oh, you can also have it as any of these drums, and there's loads of hi-hats, drums, etc., etc. There's some vocals. There are some stabs involved. So, you know. And turn the volume back up for you. Or vocals, that kind of thing, and then some instruments as well. But like I said, you can import your own samples. You know, that's super simple. So you could have this as, say, you could use one of things, or you could go to samples, and this is one I had of Dean's here. So that was an A minor stab as well. And then there's another one of Dean's, which is called Impact Boom, which I had going on. And you can import samples. Like, it'll just, if you want to take it, it'll just take you to where you want to, you store your stuff. Or you can import an entire folder if you like. But I am going to literally stick with oscillator and stick with stick with this saw, right? And then I'll manipulate the saw with the synth, because it's a complete full synth engine. It's the synth engine from Poison. So it's not a sample. These are your synth engine, right? So let's play this. There's our basic synthy stab thing. Okay, let's exit this. Let's start making it a little bit better. Switch the amplitude envelope on. I'm going to apply some low pass filter. Bit of resonance, bit of envelope. I like that. Bit of reverb. I'm going to go into my menu. Right, let me just. I'm going to go into the menu here. I'm going to exit I'm going to save. I'm going to go into the menu, enter, and I think, is it in utilities? No, possibly in pattern. Send effects. So send effects. I'm going to tap on send effects, tap on it again, and choose cathedral because it's a bigger. So exit. I'm going to put some modulation onto it. Let's give it some depth to hear the effect of it before we apply it. Bit of vibrato, you know what I mean? And also make the bit of that. Okay. So we've made a nice sound out of that pretty bland sawtooth wave, subtractive synthesis, obviously. So there we go. There's that. Send effects is great. Send effects it's global, okay? It'll affect everything, but you have control over the amount, and you have control over the amount in the mixer as well. So it's nice to jump backwards and forwards and check different things. You also have a limiter, which is good. Okay, so let's put in some sort of bass. Let's go to trigger and choose this second oscillator here, and this time we'll actually go and choose a synth bass. So we'll go wave, and we'll go to instruments maybe, and I think there's some synth bass in here somewhere. Synth bass 1, that'll do. Oh, I actually quite like that one. Maybe I'm going to stick with that one. So I'm going to exit that. But what I'm going to show you now is the very cool arpeggiator as well. So if we switch arpeggiator on here, and now if we hit arpeggiator again, you have lots and lots of different types of arpeggiator patterns, not modes, patterns themselves. And it is polyphonic as well. So if I choose this, go to keys, switch poly on. Actually, not switch poly on, but that was pattern 24. So there's loads of different types of arpeggiator pattern that you can mess around with. Let's see what this one's like. Speed. I'm going to switch scale on, which is going to keep our arpeggiator in true with our scale. So switch scale off actually. Actually, no, switch arpeggiator on. So I'm going to just record that. So hopefully this will work. Let's have practice. Okay, awesome. We'll do a quick counting and quickly record 2 bars of that. So. Awesome. What's going to be very cool now is when I put a delay on that. So make sure we're selected on our part, which we are. Hit effect. I'm going to go to a 3/16 delay maybe. Switch it on. Might sound nicer. Needs to be filtered. How cool is that? Don't forget to save. Multi-effects. Now, if we go to this, it's going on. This is going on all the time, and this is where we can use like trigger conditions, our note conditions, to change the way this behaves over the course of its 2 bars, or how many ever bars you have. So you select it, but I muted it there. I'm going to use part here to just select it as well, and then go into edit, and you'll see they're there, and it'll be that over both bars. So let's go back to bar 1 and let's choose. And when you choose on something, it'll flash. Let's choose this not to play every single time. Now, there are different ways you can set trigger conditions up. If you go forward, then you can have it set to play. It's all. There's a list of how this works in the manual. So it'll just play the first time and it'll never play again. And then it'll play, it won't play the first time and then it will always play. But if we go back, I like the actual randomization bit. So if we take it down to say 40%, let's go over to this one. Take that down to say 70, I suppose. We could go over, choose this one. See, it's different all the time. 90%. That one. 80% maybe. Choose this last one and maybe hold shift and go down to say 96%. So now it's varying that stab, so it's not so boring. Now, you might not want to go quite as extreme as that, but I think it's quite nice to go extreme, especially with stuff like this. So, again, we go with exit and remember to save. Now, there are all sorts of other cool stuff you can do with this. I mean, tons and tons. You really have a look at the manual. There's lots of videos on YouTube. I've done quite a few of these, but it's now got this song mode as well, which I'm not going to get into now. Really, this was just explaining how you can manipulate and change the sound for every single instrument that's in here. So let's go with mute now. And have 16 different instruments doing all sorts of cool stuff. And we can do the same with the arpeggiator, by the way. So if we just listen to that arpeggiator we just made. Select it. Oops. Select. Let's use part select. And maybe turn the amount of that echo down. Put some reverb on it. Once we're selected on it, we can go into edit, and we can choose the trigger conditions for the arpeggiator as well. So is it? Let's go to keys. So for each of the different trigger steps inside the arpeggio, you can then go further. You can either change the note, the length of the note. So for that first one, we could say, well, let's make that longer. Go on length. Or shorter. Effectively gating it. Or making the probability of actually even playing less. I'd like to say hello to everyone who's here who I haven't said hello to. I've been like concentrating on this, so I do apologize if I haven't said hello. Okay. The key thing is, I think, play around with the edit function a lot with the step conditions, because you'll get so much variation and cool stuff going on. Change up the, you could also as well, you can automate anything. Let's quickly just do a quick automation. Now remember, we took the MFX off some of the instruments. So if we go to our trigger, we can go through the instruments. We can see it's on there. We could take it off that actually. It's on there, so we can leave it on there. It's not on the snare, and I don't think we've. Oh. Right, so you can also record your automation in here. So let's go back to our track and just quickly give it a play. I'll unmute I'll hit record and record some of this in. And then you can go into the menu if you don't like what you've done, and I think it's in utilities. You can just clear multi-effects automation, and it'll just say yes, clear it, and then you tap it again and it's gone. So So again, remember always to keep writing your pattern. I'll do another one maybe next week, and we can cover some more stuff. But you get the basic idea. Like each individual, I say mute. Each individual. Don't forget, you can also play your sequence in, or you can go, if you go to chord mode, right, you'll still hear only one note. You must make sure poly is switched on, and then you can record the chords in by hand, and they will be relative to the scale that you have selected in your menu for your pattern sort of thing. So the scale for your, or is it the scale for the part or the pattern? Can't remember. It's all in here anyway. All the information. Yeah, there you go. Scales, harmonic minor in C. Chord sets. If you want to enter your own chords in. So it'll all fit in. So we'd record that, and then we could change the sound after we've recorded it. We could build our own sound sort of thing, like we did with that sawtooth wave. Chord set. There are different chord sets as well, and this is similar to what happens in Machine. So watch the chord names change down the bottom here, and they'll get more and more complex. We go up an octave. Sounds very Egyptian. Very kind of, you know, I'm going on a dig. So you can get quite complex, and then I took loads and loads of patches. So it has loads of patches and loads of presets and things like that. Anyway, look, there's that. And again, I'm going to come back out and hit right to save me thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you say Tara to he's done now, but I'm going to play you out with the one that we started with. So think like this. So this is the one that I made yesterday for today's demo tutorial thing for it, and we'll just exit this. I want to go to my mutes and start off. Like, so I filled it with this session. Everything was used. I used everything I automated. I built sounds myself. I imported some samples, etc. So yeah, he can't see Sam. He's blind. That's why I had to ask, mate. But yeah, I'm gonna start by kind of muting. This is the coolest way to do this stuff. I'm gonna start by muting things and then bringing them in. Guys, I'll give you a chance to say to this. Only take a few minutes. Bless you all. Thank you very much. Hopefully see you tomorrow. And yeah, brilliant. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you learned a few bits and pieces for Groove Rider. Just the key thing is to work on each thing individually, each instrument, and program each one with care. Like, don't rush through them like I did, and you will just get some fantastic results. It's absolutely fab. Right, anyway, guys, ta-da, bless you all, and let's go. This has all these like trigger conditions and stuff, all of it set up.